Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the incredibly fascinating and wildly diverse ways animals ensure their species survives. Whether you're looking at a massive elephant on the savannah or a tiny butterfly in your backyard, they all share one remarkable singular goal. We're going to explore the actual biological mechanics of how life just keeps going.
So, here's a wild thought that frames everything we're talking about today. Every living thing grows up, gets old, and eventually dies, right? It's just the inescapable reality of nature. But if mortality is a 100% guarantee for every individual creature, how is it that our planet is still absolutely teeming with life after millions of years? Well, nature has an ultimate solution to this problem, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with a big picture of why animals reproduce, check out mammals and live births, and then literally crack open a bird's egg. Finally, we'll trace the incredible life cycles of a hen, a frog, and a few insects.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, Why Animals Reproduce. Simply put, reproduction is just the necessary biological engine that stops a species from aging out and disappearing forever. It's the natural way living things create brand new individuals of their exact own kind. A lion produces a lion, a sparrow produces a sparrow. It's literally the mechanism of continuation.
Now, while the end goal is exactly the same across the animal kingdom, the actual methods? Totally different. Nature has essentially split this into two main camps. On one side, you have animals that give birth to live young, and on the flip side, you have animals that lay eggs, leaving the babies to develop out in the world before hatching. Let's look closely at both, starting with the live bearers.
Which brings us to Section 2, Mammals and Live Births.
Let's start with us, the mammals, to understand what makes this group unique. Mammals are widely considered the most developed animals out there. They have three major distinguishing features. First, they have hair on their bodies. Second, they give birth directly to live young instead of laying eggs. And third, crucially, mothers feed those babies with their own milk. It's a strategy where they invest heavily in their young by growing them safely inside the mother's body before they're born.
And this group is incredibly diverse. When we hear mammal, we usually picture furry land dwellers, elephants, lions, cows, dogs. But mammals have adapted to almost every environment on Earth. They actually include hairless ocean swimmers like whales and dolphins, and yes, even flying creatures like bats.
Now, because mammal babies are often born pretty small and helpless, the parents are incredibly hands-on. Honestly, if you think human parenting is exhausting, just look at the animal kingdom. Mothers take on the massive job of feeding, cleaning, and warming the newborns, while fathers often play a huge role in hunting for food and fiercely protecting the babies from predators. It's a high-investment strategy, completely designed to make sure these vulnerable young survive those really risky early days.
Okay, let's switch gears and check out the other half of the animal kingdom. Section 3, Inside a Bird's Egg. So while mammals grow their young on the inside, egg-laying animals like birds, frogs, insects, and reptiles do things a bit differently. If you just look at an egg, it seems like a simple, smooth, hard shell, but inside, it is an absolute marvel of biology. It's a perfectly self-contained life support system designed to safely grow an embryo in the outside world. Every single part of the egg has a highly specific job. The hard outer shell is the bodyguard. It protects the whole thing and strictly prevents it from drying out. Inside that, you have the albumin, that familiar clear, jelly-like substance you see when you crack an egg for breakfast. It's packed with proteins and provides water and cushioning. Finally, right in the center is the yolk. The yolk actually contains the developing embryo, and it acts as a built-in pantry, supplying all the fats and vitamins the baby needs to grow. So we know what's going on inside. Let's move to Section 4, Life Cycle of a Hen, and see how that embryo transforms.
In biology, we call this journey a life cycle. It's just the series of stages a young animal passes through before finally becoming an adult. For birds, like hens, it is a very distinct circular journey, from egg to chick to adult, and then back to egg again.
A totally crucial step here is incubation. After the egg is laid, the parent bird, usually the mother, actually has to sit on it to transfer her body heat. Keeping that egg warm is absolutely required for the embryo inside to develop into a chick. Then, about 21 days later, it breaks the shell in a process called hatching and emerges as a tiny chick, ready to start growing into an adult hen. Now, when a chick hatches, it basically just looks like a tiny, fluffy version of a hen. But some animals go through radical shape-shifting, which brings us to Section 5, Frog and Amphibian Metamorphosis.
This is a vital scientific term you'll want to remember: metamorphosis. While most young animals resemble their parents right out of the gate, animals that undergo metamorphosis look absolutely nothing like their adult forms when they hatch. They literally have to go through massive, dramatic body changes to become adults. Take the life cycle of a frog, for example. It is stunning to watch. The female frog lays her eggs in the water, covered in this slippery, jelly-like substance called frog spawn for protection. What hatches from those eggs is a tadpole, and a tadpole looks way more like a fish than a frog. It swims with a long tail, it breathes through gills. But over time, it undergoes metamorphosis. The tail vanishes, legs sprout out, lungs replace the gills, and boom! It hops out of the water to live on land as an adult frog.
Now get a load of this staggering number: 4,000. An adult female frog can lay up to 4,000 eggs at a single time. Crazy, right? But why so many? Well, because these eggs and the tadpoles that hatch from them are pretty much left to fend for themselves in some really dangerous waters. Only a tiny fraction of those 4,000 will actually survive predators and environmental hazards to become adults. It is quite literally a survival strategy based on sheer numbers. Let's wrap up our journey by shrinking down even further. Section 6, the insect life cycles. Every insect lays eggs, but even in the insect world, the strategies are wildly different. Some insects, like grasshoppers and cockroaches, go through a relatively simple 3-stage life cycle. But others, like butterflies and houseflies, undergo a much more complex 4-stage process of metamorphosis. Let's compare them. First up, the 3-stage cycle of the cockroach. The baby bug that hatches from the egg is called a nymph. It actually looks a lot like an adult cockroach, just without the wings. But here's the catch: because insects have hard outer shells, the nymph can't just grow seamlessly like we do. It has to repeatedly burst out of and shed its old skin to grow larger. That fascinating and maybe slightly creepy process is called molting. On the other hand, the butterfly goes through 4 highly distinct stages. It hatches from its egg as a worm-like larva, which we call a caterpillar. The caterpillar's only job in life is to eat leaves and grow as fast as possible. Then it does something truly amazing. It forms a protective shell around itself, entering the pupa stage or chrysalis. Inside that hidden shell, its entire body breaks down into goo and completely rebuilds itself, finally bursting out as a beautiful winged adult butterfly. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to just think about the sheer diversity we covered today. From a mother whale nurturing her live baby in the ocean, to a caterpillar literally dissolving into a butterfly inside a chrysalis, nature has engineered some absolutely unbelievable ways to keep life going. So I'll leave you with this question: which of these brilliant biological strategies do you find the most fascinating? Thanks for exploring the continuation of life with me today, and keep questioning the incredible natural world around you.